Welcome into episode 51 of Ramie and Drew. I am Ramie Mackloff. That is a very poorly lit Drew Flaggy. Just you look like Two-Face from Batman. We're a couple of Milwaukee comics because just light is coming in. I think that's probably your patio door. We're a couple of Milwaukee comics talking sports and whatever other bullshit comes to mind. We come to you about 18 hours after the Bucs season ended in Indianapolis and live as the Cubs and the Brewers battle down at Wrigley Field. And I believe the Cubs just took a lead. Drew Flaggy?
Nope.
No.
They caught him in a rundown.
I just turned on, I went from downstairs to upstairs. I turned on the game. I thought somebody was on base when he hit that double. So, no, still nothing in the bottom of the fifth inning.
He just got caught in a rundown. I'm watching on Spectrum, so it might actually be a little bit ahead of where you're at if you're streaming it.
Okay, then.
That's why I fist pumped. I was like, they got him. Like it was.
Son of a bitch.
So while people are filling in, do you want it? I told you that I had an incident today at the gym.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means. That could mean so many things that you had an incident. Yeah, we'll get to the Bucs in just a second and how the season ended and the reaction to it already since. But what was your incident?
Well, I gave you a spoiler. I didn't poop. That it wasn't poop related.
That's good because that's one of the things an incident could be. It could be poop related.
A gym lifting at the gym, lifting heavy stuff. You could let loose.
That's why you gotta. It's why you gotta remember to breathe. You know, if you're lifting, you gotta remember to breathe. Because if you're straining like that and you're not breathing, I know it seems like those two things aren't related. You will squeeze out of poop. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You're tightening up stuff. You're loosening things up. It happens. That's not what happened. And I had a coffee before I went to the gym. That's not what happened. So this is my incident. Do you think I got into a fight? I didn't get into a fight.
That was my first thought because you've been chippy lately. You've been a little chippy lately.
Do you think I may have? Do you think maybe I walked in front of a pretty girl who was recording her workout and became viral? No, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. I'm not viral famous for getting in front of like an Instagram thought. Like that didn't happen. Everyone's very respectful at the gym.
That's good to know. That's good to know.
I'll say this. I like everybody at the gym that I go to. Everybody's pretty damn cool, at least in my experiences with everybody. And I'm chatty. I mix it up with people.
Yeah, you're a chatty fella. I'm not like that, man. I don't really talk to people I don't know unless I'm on a stage.
You get to talking to people when you play basketball, which is what I was doing. This is where the incident occurred.
Yeah, that's a situation where I might talk to strangers.
So I was playing basketball, right? Here's the thing with some of the guys that I usually play with. There weren't enough people to run full court, so we were just playing 2-on-2. And I came out in the game. I was like Dame Lillard. My game was exactly like Dame Lillard today, dude. This is exactly what happened, right?
I'm sure.
First possession, step back, 3-pointer, nailed it, hit it from the left wing. I was like, man, I'm doing crazy shit from the left. I'm like Joe Biden. Well, let's mix it up. Let's try to tear things up from the right like Donald Trump. Let's see what's going on. I'm just going to hit from both sides because I'm libertarian as hell, right? So I go to the right, hit a 3-pointer. Dude, nailed it. And this is exactly like Damian Lillard. This is exactly what I did. I rolled my fucking ankle really bad.
Oh, no. Oh, no. How bad? Are we iced up? Are we elevated? How bad are we talking here?
I got a compression. I got a compression sock on it right now, like a little ankle brace, a little compression brace. I stretched it out like 4 times. No, I was going through my workout pretty gingerly now because I was like trying to strengthen a little bit around it, just doing some stuff like that. Did Willie Adamas? The wind knocked it down.
What grade of us? Don't let me do the stuff because you're just going to spoil it for me. If you're ahead of me, let me do the live updates. All right, because I don't want spoilers. I don't want. You were doing that to me last night while I was watching the Bucs game in the group chat because I was at work. Well, I was at the Improv last night. It was a really really fun night at the Improv. Really good dudes last night. Justin Silva and Trev Houston were the comedians. Hilarious, super nice dudes. Check them out. I don't need to tell you dude, Justin Silva has like 6 billion in TikTok and YouTube followers. So me saying go check out his stuff is pretty dumb. But on top of being funny and very famous, super nice dude. It was a fun night at the Improv. So I was watching on my phone, and of course, the Wi-Fi signal inside the Improv, it can be sketch at times. Right. So it kept buffering, and every time it buffered, I would fall like 10 seconds further behind. and you kept on saying what was happening in the game, and I was like, this motherfucker, dude, you didn't know, obviously, but it was still getting frustrating because of, well, I was probably taking stuff out on you because of how angry I was with how the Bucks game was going.
Yeah. Well, anyways, no, you said what's the grade of the sprain? It's like probably listen, it was a loud pop, and this is how I did it too. Ooh. It wasn't a contact play. Like I went down like fucking Giannis, dude. Like it was, I literally like I came off a screen like this dude. I met this dude at the nail, and I tried to slide with him into the paint because he was trying to go weak side and cut back door to get like an easy layup like beneath the basket. So I was sliding with him, and my foot stayed on the ground and just went crack and just like rolled. And I was like, fuck, I'm done, guys. Sorry, I'm out. I was
when there's an audible pop, dude, that's one of the worst feelings when there's an audible pop in one of your joints.
I'm going to tell you this. I was more scared because of the pop than I was in pain. Like I had like a
that's the thing is you hear it and you're like, oh my God, my foot fell off.
I had like a full body, like you know, like when you like wake up with like a bad hangover, and then like your whole body just like you just get like the head rush, and it just your whole body goes like hot for a second, and you're like, I'm gonna puke. That's what I did with my ankle. I was like, I'm gonna puke. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna describe this to my boss. I don't like. You got hurt doing what? I'm like playing.
Aren't you supposed to be in the Badgerland Comedy Fest this weekend? Are you gonna be able to go?
Tonight. I got to drive down there on this foot. I'm a gamer, dude.
Are you going to be able to go is my question.
Yeah, and wiffle ball also starts on Monday, so I got that going on too. And this is on my push foot for pitching.
The feature comic last night, Trev Houston at the Improv, this dude had a broken foot, like a legitimately broken foot, and he didn't want to wear his boot, you know, the protective boot that you wear. He didn't wear it on stage
that's fine.
Because he didn't want, you know, he's got to look good on stage. So he chose the Jordans over the protective boot and was out there walking around with a broken foot. I was like, what are you doing, man?
I texted Nathan Clemens, who's like in charge of the festival, and I'm like, on my rider, I know this is a little bit late, but can I get like some like athletic tape just in the green room? Man, like, I've been laughing about this. Like, there's a guy that I play with. He's Hispanic, and like I'm sitting there off to the side, and he goes, "Man, this is why white people scare the shit out of me." He's like, "That motherfucker rolled his ankle, and he's giggling about it." Just like an absolute maniac. I'm just like Dave Lillard.
That's funny. All right, let's get into this Bucks game last night, Drew. It was pretty ugly start to finish. The Pacers had pretty good control of that basketball game pretty much throughout, and the Bucks just couldn't seem to. I think they just ran out of steam, man. You know what I mean? When you're shorthanded and you got guys doing more than they're used to doing. And in some cases, more than they're capable of doing on a consistent basis. You know what I mean? Eventually, that gas tank and quite frankly, the luck runs out. And I think everything just caught up. And when I say everything, I don't just mean the injuries in this series. Man, it has been a season of clearing hurdles for this Bucks team, and I think it just caught up to them. And the Pacers were, as annoying and as they and their fans are, they were the better team in that series.
Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and take away credit for the fact we lost. I'm not going to make excuses for the loss. Like, yeah, our best players were out for a majority of this. And then Chris Middleton, our third best player, was also hurt. Like, that guy was out there gaming, like, without, you know, he had two bad ankles out there. Like, that guy, like, first of all, I mean, that was just, it was more crushing to see how devastated he was at the end of that game.
That hurt seeing that.
And it's just, and like the thing I thought of, I know you're probably not thinking about it, but it's like, you know, all the dark corners of the internet that I dwell in and everything, the people that just shit on him relentlessly as Bucks fans, that guy on Tuesday night when I was at the bar that was like, I just hate him. It's like, man, look at how much that dude really gives a shit. Like, that guy, he shows up, man. Like, Chris Middleton, absolutely. Like, I'm not the first one to obviously say this, but yeah, his number is going to get retired, I think, up in those rafters, whether we win another.
Not only that, not only that, the statue outside Fiserv Forum is going to be two dudes. It's going to be Giannis and Chris side by side.
It should be side by side. It absolutely shouldn't be those two together because Giannis deserves his own great giant statue.
But knowing Giannis and how much he loves Chris, he probably would want it to be a statue of the two of them together.
Close, but it should be close, but it shouldn't say like Giannis and Chris Middleton. They should have their own thing. Like they're, like that. It doesn't matter. Like it's still too early to be talking about statues because these guys still have years left with us here. Well, according to some outlets, that Giannis is probably.
We'll talk about that in a second, but I wanted to talk about the game to start. I think when I said running out of gas, I think Chris Middleton embodied that last night. I mean, he struggled, man. 38 minutes. He was 6 of 15. Dame came back on the bum Achilles. It wasn't the worst Dame game you've ever seen. He had 28 points, but it was, on 7 of 16. His shooting was erratic. There were stretches in that game where he just went completely cold. For the Bucks, Lopez didn't do a whole lot for you. He had 20 points, 7 of 12, which is really good. That was a decent Brook game.
What I want to say about Brook Lopez going just kind of beyond just being a box score warrior here. Brook Lopez off the dribble got Miles Turner into foul trouble, which was huge early on, getting him into that third foul, taking one of their guys off the floor. We didn't have an answer for Obi Toppin, which is insane. That's like a Grant Williams kind of thing for us. That's ridiculous. But also like getting Miles Turner out of the game, but then it's like also they didn't have to use him either. So it's like those 3 fouls didn't matter because Obi Toppin and Rec League superstar TJ McConnell just destroyed us. But like
you were having a discussion with a friend, a mutual friend on the Bucks group chat that we're in about more punchable face.
Oh,
TJ McConnell or
it's Halliburton.
Or Tyrese Halliburton. Yeah, how did I draw a blank on that?
Why?
It's like, close. It's close, but it's Halliburton.
It's Halliburton. It's so much.
It's a team full of punchable faces. Honestly, Obi Toppin has a punchable face.
Yeah. Obi Toppin, just a guy. He couldn't really hack it with the Knicks or anything like that. Kind of just like a bum ass trade. It was like 2 second rounders, and then they got themselves a role player. He won a dunk contest. I think his first year in the league. Like it's whatever. The Pacers, I'm not too salty about them right now. They like
Nemhard punchable face.
Well, to go back to the conversation we had about that team and their antics, and you're like, well, the Bucks were celebrating when we were when we won, when we beat the Nets. But Chris Middleton and Giannis weren't in like Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie's faces going like this at their guys. Like our dudes just played the game, and it's like you're allowed to celebrate. You're allowed to go celebrate all you want to, and that's fine, especially with your own team and get your own crowd amped up. But when you're fucking straight and taunting the other team, that's the problem. Because the exception I take to it isn't even as a fan. It's the fact that it's like you are taunting a team that is just completely decimated with injuries. That's where I'm like, you guys don't recognize the situation you're in. I didn't listen. I also haven't listened to what Tyrese Halliburton had to say after the game because I can't.
I didn't see what it.
All of his accents.
I didn't see what it was, but I was listening to Bart Winkler, friend of the show, on the Infinity Sports Radio Network last night on my way home from the Improv, and he said that Tyrese Halliburton. I don't know what it was. Maybe I can find it while we're talking. Basically, went right to his phone after the game and tweeted something about Pat Bev, who had a
So these are the things he said. So the Pat Bev tweet, something about above the rim or something like that.
Oh, he said, "Con man, flip from above the rim." Oh, flip the character from above the rim. Okay.
So that was when Pat Bev got into his thing with Damian Lillard a couple of years ago or last year or whatever it was. After a game, I can't remember which one of them tweeted that about the other one. But Pat Bev, I think, tweeted it about Dame, and then Halliburton tweeted it about Pat Bev, quoting basically what he said. Because one of the reporters, because obviously Halliburton knew exactly what Pat Bev had said about him. A reporter asked him, "What did you learn about Tyrese Halliburton?" He said, "Absolutely nothing." He was like, I held him to, I was like, I defended him for 19 or I defended him for 41 minutes and he shot 19% from 3. Yeah. See, I was going
to home run. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I
Ron with the go ahead home run, 1-0 Cubs in the bottom of the 6th with 2 outs. So, and by the way, while we're talking about Pat Bev and while I'm giving live updates of things, this just came through after his what some might consider disrespect of an ESPN producer in the locker room last night. Patrick Beverley has been banned from future guest appearances on ESPN shows. He will no longer be What are you gonna do, bro? No.
Oh my God, they're gonna have to get fucking Gilbert Arenas, who's a moron. Oh God. Oh, it's just more catering for that fat fuck Kendrick Perkins because he's an. Oh my God! Holy shit! Brian Windhorst, craft services is all yours because Pat Bev is gonna come there and eat a sandwich. Jesus Christ! They're just gonna get fatter at ESPN. They're gonna get fatter and dumber and filled with MSG. Oh my God! Those fat clowns.
I don't think Pat Bev gives a shit, quite frankly.
But also, it's like, did they show the question that was asked prior to him saying what he said? Because this is the kind of shit that Pat Bev talks about on his podcast, first of all. Also, the fact that it's by Barstool Sports. They're sponsored by somebody. So it's not like he's not making money off of his podcast. So why would you give away content that ESPN is going to soundbite clip up? They've clipped everything Dame has said all year long. And, Dame's miserable in Milwaukee. Dame hates it here. Dame's lonely. Dame this, Dame that. Dame hates everything. He wants to be in Miami. Giannis is leaving. Oh, Giannis is going to leave. Giannis hates Milwaukee. Giannis hates his coach. Giannis hates the organization. Giannis hates this. Giannis is going to be much happier in Golden State or with the Lakers, who just fired Darvin Ham today. I don't know if you saw that. I
did.
Let's bring him back as an assistant coach. That might be a winning formula. No, Doc ain't going to do that. But all this crap is like ESPN. Yeah. Why, Pat Bev? Why would you go out there and say something that they're going to take out of context because you've been pulling antics this entire series? He knows Pat Bev is a smart enough guy that he knows exactly what they're going to do to him. And I guarantee you that woman asked him a question about the drama that transpired with the benches. And Pat Bev was talking about how that group of fans behind the Bucks bench was getting out of line with the shit they were saying to the Bucks bench. And then, yeah, of course, should he have thrown a basketball at them? Probably not.
No. But also, that was a bad idea.
But also, it's like, okay, so what are you going to do? Because there were fans that started jawing at Bobby Portis down low. They got ejected from the game. So you got Pacers fans on the sidelines that are straight up saying shit that's getting them kicked out. I don't dispute that they said anything. If Tyrese Halliburton wants to go out there and say that Bucks fans in the stands were calling his brother a certain word, a certain slur, then what do you think your fans were saying to the Bucks fans?
Quite frankly, whenever players say like fans were getting out of line, and that comes in many forms, it can be the type of thing that happened to Tyrese Halliburton's brother, allegedly. It can be the type of thing that we saw last night of just like your standard heckling, but that is just excessive or goes too far. I tend to believe the athletes when they say that because I go to sporting events and I see these people and they want to be the show. They want the attention of everybody in their section. You know what I mean? They want to put on a little act for everybody in their section and get the attention of the players. Yeah, I know the type.
Out, right, everybody.
But at the end of the day, I mean, Pat Bev can't throw that ball into the stands. That's just you're going to start a Malice at the Palace type of situation doing some shit like that. That to me that's inexcusable. You can't do that. The thing with the reporter afterwards, first of all, a lot of people and the original tweet that went out when Pat Bev said to the ESPN producer, "I'm not answering your question because you don't subscribe to my podcast." The original tweet that went out, it said the way they framed it, it said female ESPN producer. And listen, man, women deal with a lot of shit in this industry. I've been in the sports talk industry for almost 20 years now, and there's no doubt in my mind that females in this business deal with a ton of shit from fans, from teams, from players. Like, they have to deal with a lot of shit that men don't have to deal with. From what I understand, this isn't the first time Pat Bev has said this to somebody. He's said this to people in the Milwaukee press pool. Since he's gotten here, he's had said this to people in the Milwaukee press pool, that I'm not answering your questions because you don't subscribe to my podcast. Take issue with that, if you will. If you think that's unprofessional, if you think that's not how Pat Bev should handle the media, you want to take issue with that, take issue with that. But this was not a female reporter thing when it comes to Pat Bev and what he said in the locker room last night.
No, they tried to make it a sexism thing. And you know what? Whatever. Maybe there was maybe I don't care. I'm not in his side of his head. I don't care about his intent. It doesn't fucking matter, because at the end of the day, this was innocuous. But my bigger thing is then Brian Windhorst being like, Pat Beverly owes an apology. No, you know who owes an apology? It's ESPN to all the Milwaukee fans who have been playing fantasy basketball with Giannis for the past 8 years.
And now they're doing it with Dame.
And you know what?
Now they're doing it with Dame. Stephen A. Smith said this morning that they should trade Dame, which, by the way, his contract is just about untradeable right now. Next year, a conversation that could realistically happen. This year, it's not happening.
Kendrick Perkins yesterday after the Bucks, the body was barely cold. The leg was still twitching. And he goes out and says the Bucks should consider trading Chris Middleton, the most heroic guy in the series.
Yeah, that was the dumbest shit.
Tell me that while you're stuffing your face full of food, you fat fucking pig, to steal Kevin Culver's thing. Tell me that you haven't watched a basketball game. You know what one of my favorite things to do while I'm eating is? Watch sports. There's a lot of bars that I like to go to, Kendrick. I love to go to bars that have food deals. Certain bars on Tuesdays that I'm a really big fan of because they got a great.
We haven't gone to wing night at Lydia's.
Oh my God. Some bars that have really good wing nights. And you know what I like to do? I like to plan when I go out around the time that sports are on, because you can stick food down your goddamn gullet while you watch a fucking game and it doesn't affect your brain.
But by the way, Kendrick Perkins has, and then he has the gall to say that the guys on TNT don't watch basketball games. It's like, dude, how do you watch this series and say that they should get rid of Chris Middleton? If anyone, I'm watching this series and I'm going, you know what? Maybe Bobby's got to go. We'll get into who has to go on a move-by-move basis on a later episode of the Ramie and Drew Show. Please follow, subscribe, rate, review, and tell a friend on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. But maybe Brooke, you're like, maybe time to move on. Well, how do you watch Chris Middleton in this series and think that you have to think that he's the guy that has to go? Where do you get that from?
It's a hot take. Like, it's straight up. It's the thing that you say. Like I said, people that say things like Chris Middleton sucks and never back it up with any stats or anything like that, or any actual analytical crap. When people start saying that players suck, and it's like, okay, well, let me ask you this about this. And, no one ever wants to answer it. It's the same thing as somebody saying, may the force be with you, or everything's better with bacon. It's just shit you say. It's just a thing.
Everything is better with bacon, though.
That's seriously what you do. It's just a thing you say, and everybody kind of just knows. It's essentially a meme. It's a greeting card. It's oh, happy birthday. You open a thing, happy birthday, love, Mom. Oh, cool. You couldn't just think to text me that? That's all it is. That's all saying Chris Middleton sucks. There's no substance behind it, but there's more thought behind a birthday card from my mom than anybody saying Chris Middleton sucks.
He didn't say Chris Middleton sucks. He just said they might have to. I think it was in the same vein that people say, maybe they should trade Dame and get something for him while they can or whatever. But it's still stupid, but it wasn't as stupid as saying that Chris Middleton sucks by any stretch.
And like the other thing too is this was one point that we didn't get to the other night about the if Damian Lillard, I think hottest of takeums, Jacob brought this up, but it was like Damian Lillard ruining his trade value. I don't think he did. I think actually with the playoff performance that he had, I think it absolutely just re-upped the stock, because it's like that's what he's here for, is playoff basketball. And if Lillard doesn't hurt his Achilles, this is probably a different series. If Bobby can control his temper and he doesn't get kicked out of the game on Sunday, possibly a different story. And also Bobby Portis Pat Bev said on his podcast that Bobby came into the locker room and apologized to the entire team and said, I shouldn't have done that. So it's like he recognized the situation he probably put them in. So that's fine. Like I'm still not a trade Bobby guy. I said that maybe in the offseason, a big thing that Doc Rivers and some of his coaches should do is rent a nice little like RV or something and drive Bobby all across the country to a bunch of different parks, church parking lots, like gyms, YMCAs, and just go to him and go, hey, Bob, the rim is the same height everywhere. Stop shorting it. It's not just Milwaukee that is 10 feet. It's everywhere. It's not moving.
I mean, he was pretty good last night I was watching at the club. Yeah, he was 8 for 17, 20 points, 15 rebounds. Man, they got beat up in the rebound department again. It wasn't on the offensive boards, so I guess you'll take that, but they got out rebounded 44-40. They gave up 37 defensive rebounds, so they weren't grabbing any offensive rebounds themselves. That was a problem throughout the series. Fast break points in the paint. They went back to giving up just walks in the park and easy buckets around the basket last night. It was that we've seen haunt them before and throughout the season, including the bench. I opened the show by saying this team ran out of gas and some guys finally came back down to earth. We talked after Game 5 about Pat Connaughton giving you productive minutes. He was not productive in his 16 minutes last night. Michael Beasley was only 1 for 5. He had 2 points. We talked about Pat and what he gave you off the bench last night, which was not very much other than some spice and some attitude. It was an ugly performance for this Bucks bench, which was an issue all season long.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing too with a lot of Bucks fans, they need to realize that this team wasn't constructed around Damian Lillard when all these signings happened.
Right.
Got to keep going back to Malik Beasley was signed at a time where Grayson Allen was our starting shooting guard. So you had a guy who would play some kind of level of adequate defense. You had Drew Holiday as your perimeter guy, your point of attack guy. So Malik Beasley wasn't expected to do much but come off the bench and shoot threes. And then he ended up having to be in the starting rotation because Pat Connaughton was kind of worse. I do think, I don't like to keep piling on the Pat Connaughton thing. He is the number one guy. I'm like, I don't see him on this roster next year. I think Andre Jackson and AJ Green are going to take those bench spots. I was confused as to why Andre Jackson wasn't playing until late in the third.
Was too.
Because it's like you said, we're getting out rebounded. We're getting just ran off the court. You should have put that guy in there because at least that guy can jump out of the gym. He'll go and mix up and scrap with people. He's absolutely fearless. He's not a great offensive contributor, but hell, at the point that I'm like, why the fuck hasn't he played? It's not like offense on the bench was at a premium here. Was. I was like, we had 1 point and it was Danilo Gallinari going 1 for 2 from the free throw line.
Doc went to his veterans off the bench in Game 5 and it worked. And we talked about that. And I give Doc credit for that in sticking with those guys and giving them the minutes that he ended up giving them on a night when they were very shorthanded, the most shorthanded that they were all series. But in this game, it wasn't working, man. And he never really pivoted away from that in terms of his rotations and his minutes. Gallinari got 4 minutes. Marjan got 3. Livingston got 3. Thanasis got 3 at the end of the game. Well, Green and Jackson got 5 minutes each. It was all Beasley and Connaughton off the bench last night. Almost all the bench minutes went to those two guys. At least meaningful bench minutes, not white flag bench minutes at the end of the game.
Yeah. No, I mean that's just it is what it is. They're gonna. The main thing right now is John Horst going to be the GM this offseason to rebuild this thing. Because that's the only departure that's really kind of scary right now. We definitely I would like Horst to be back. I'm not a Horst hater, obviously. I don't know how
anybody can be. I don't know how anybody can be.
Well, the dark corner.
I know there are people out there who are. There always will be. I don't understand their logic or where they're coming from.
Yesterday, for the first time in all the time that I've been on Facebook, yesterday was the first time I actually blocked somebody. because I was like, I just fucking can't with you anymore.
And that was before they even lost, right?
Yeah, it was like the third quarter when things were starting to look not good, or maybe it was early in the fourth quarter, and it was just straight up someone telling me that they hate Giannis, that Giannis did this team, and I was like, and that's actually one thing, because this is floating around Twitter. This isn't just this person, but all the people that are like, he gets hurt before the playoffs every year. Well, no, he didn't get hurt in 2021 until late in the playoffs when that was a freak accident. And he still came back and played on a bum leg that's going to probably end up destroying his career a few years from now. Like, it's going to be bad late in his life, definitely. Like, he's going to have trouble walking, I would think, at some point.
Yeah.
The next thing that's a big problem is it's like, okay, so he comes back, drops a 50-piece, no big deal. We win a ring, whatever. Everyone forgot about that. Chris Middleton sucks again, apparently. Year after that, we play the Celtics, right? And then Middleton was hurt that year because he slipped on wet court in Chicago and he jammed his knee and he was out the rest of the playoffs. And we went to Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals against. Was it the semis or the Eastern Conference Finals?
Semis. I think it was the semis.
Semis. Okay, so we go to Game 7 against the Celtics. Okay, they're a good team. Fine. Next year, Kevin Love, first game, this isn't a conditioning thing. Kevin Love slips under Giannis while he's going up for a dunk in this bullshit play that needs to be outlawed because guys like Ja Morant got hurt on this. You had the Miami Heat doing this. Did you see the Heat the other night headhunting the Celtics when they were when they were dead, basically?
No. I didn't watch any of that series because, quite frankly, the Heat are hard to watch, especially without Jimmy Butler.
The Heat were basically dead in the water, and they were essentially tackling guys on the Celtics. Like they weren't even trying to run them off the 3-point line. They were straight up like tackling guys like Peyton Pritchard and Derek White. It was Heat culture. It was absolute horseshit basketball. It was, you can't score, so we're gonna hurt you. We're gonna put you in the hospital. That's what they did, and that's
some culture.
That's Kevin Love's thing now. He's old. He's got a lot of gray hair. And all he can do, he can't beat a guy to a spot. He can't defend. So what he does is he draws that charge by slipping under somebody and standing as straight as a statue and just letting someone crash into him. But then
he still does good baseball passes. He's still good at that. The long inbounds baseball pass.
Yeah. But he turns their body. And so Giannis falls on his fucking back. Oh, that's Giannis's fault for getting hurt, guys. Really? Oh, Giannis, you should have more ass where your spine was, I guess. The fuck? Like, it's just like
the squat rack, bro. Get in the squat rack. You were talking about, you were going through the history of the Bucks and the injuries they've had that have ended playoff runs. Dan Schaefer from the recombobulation area, he tweeted this out this morning. He said the last time the Bucks lost a playoff series when Giannis and Chris were both healthy was the 2019 Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Now that's some bad luck on the one hand, yes, but at the same time, I did say about the Brooklyn Nets, that team that the Bucks bounced on their way to a championship. Hey man, you are putting your eggs in a somewhat fragile basket. Between those two guys, outside of 2021, you haven't been able to have them both healthy for a playoff run once since 2019. That's a trend. That's a pattern. That and maybe, look, man, maybe Dame is the bridge between those two and can be the other guy if one of them isn't healthy for a playoff run. This year you didn't even have two of them healthy for most of this series, but that's pretty troubling. On the one hand, you go, hey man, nobody can beat Chris and Giannis when they're together and healthy on the court. But on the other hand, you go, well, when are they going to be together and healthy on the court come April and May? Is that something that they're ever going to be able to pull off again?
So yeah, that's the thing. And so again, playoff basketball, a little bit different, a little bit more physical. The refs let them play a little bit. Dame's injury, getting stepped on down low by Miles Turner, but Miles Turner was also stepping underneath Chris Middleton. Like, it's the how close to a flagrant can I get to alter the shot before it's a flagrant foul. That kind of stuff doesn't happen necessarily in the regular season. Like when Kevin Durant got underneath Chris Middleton and got hit with the flagrant, and Middleton was out for 20 games because of that. Mm-hmm. I don't think that was Kevin Durant trying to really alter the shot that much. He's just kind of a lazy defender. And so he got in the wrong position. I think there are guys like Kevin Love, Miles Turner they get beat by some of the more skilled players in the league and they'll slip under you. And that's fine because you know what? We got guys too that'll do that kind of stuff. Like we got guys that'll, kind of try to bother you and stuff. Like Pat Bev will try to bother guys. And it's just a little bit of gamesmanship. It's nothing that I'm going to get too mad about, but I'm also not going to blame guys for getting hurt when that kind of stuff happens. And that's more of a league thing that the league has to figure out, well, what do we want to do? Do we want to call the playoffs different, or do we want to disincentivize guys from slipping underneath people, or do we add another ref to the baseline or something like that? And you have one guy just watching for these things.
Because it is happening a lot. There's no question it's happening a lot. And not just to the Bucks. It's happening a lot.
Ankles, knees getting twisted, stuff like that, with guys slipping underneath them. And I'm not going to blame the Pacers for doing it. Like it's because everyone does it. Like Kyrie stepped on Giannis's foot and nothing got called in that Nets series. So like it happens. Trae Young rolled his ankle doing stuff. That's more his thing. I rolled my it happens.
Yeah, we heard about it to start the show.
It happens to the best of us.
What did you say? Grade 2? Grade 2 sprain?
I'm basically going to have to amputate, I think.
Really?
I took 4 ibuprofens.
What milligram?
Ibuprofen, I don't know. whatever ibuprofen is.
I'm not going to say who. They might be hanging on my wall right now. I'm not going to say who, but somebody used to give me NFL strength ibuprofens when I would get migraines during a radio show. And ooh, buddy, man, those guys are getting something different. The rest of us are you. That prescription strength ibuprofen that'll set you right. That'll fix you up real good.
No, I just my thing is I just want to get the swelling down. That's all. Like I'll be fine. This is gonna be. We're gonna
ice
be
it then, man. Why don't you have ice on it if you're worried about swelling? That's the number one thing you do for swelling.
I don't want to get my.
You're like what?
I don't want to get my
fuck up. So get a towel. Don't you have towels?
Yeah, I don't want to get my towels wet. No, I'm gonna ice it after I take a shower.
Okay.
But it's not like I need
to alternate.
Wet all that.
You alternate between hot and cold.
I've also been rotating my ankle and stuff and just keeping it kind of just stretching it and stuff. So we're good. We'll be good.
Oh no.
Full recovery. I'm gonna have a full recovery.
My Bally Sports just froze. But
it's a commercial right now.
Last thing, and like I said, we'll do like a player by player breakdown of what we think this team should do off season and to improve their chances of winning a championship next season. But for starters, I loved what Dane said about how he's happy in Milwaukee and he's excited about what's to come. I loved what Doc said about what's to come with this team. You said you're handling the loss well. I found myself handling the loss pretty well because of something that we've talked about before, which is that a full off season, because Dane was traded late in the off season, a full off season of these guys working together, a full off season under Doc Rivers and his system and his assistants, getting them ready for what they want to do. I think the chances are better for this team next year. As far as changes, without diving too deep into it, Giannis ain't going nowhere. Chris ain't going nowhere. Dame ain't going nowhere. I think everything else is on the table right now.
Yeah, I would think that if the right offer comes along, you can entertain basically anything. But, I mean, the thing that Bucks fans should really just be happy about is Damian Lillard said directly into the camera, just straight up, you can't clip it. You can't take it out of context. The only thing you can do is lie and be disingenuous about what he said or try to apply some kind of subtext or like malintent on what he said. But when Dame flat out said that he's going to be here next year, he's happy with his situation. He said he likes Milwaukee. There's nothing like he's fine. Like no one needs to panic because Dame Lillard, the other thing too is I've been a Portland fan longer than Dame was on that team. I've liked the Blazers for a long time. You know, LaMarcus Aldridge was awesome. I fucking, you know, Clyde Drexler I always thought was cool as hell. Like, there's a lot of those, like, I always really, really like, and like black and red, just a really cool color scheme, and their jerseys have always been cool. So like, I own some Portland stuff. It's cool. Like, I love Portland. So getting Dame
honestly never liked their jerseys. The red and like gray stripe thing, never liked their jerseys.
I don't love the gray stripe. It's like the only thing I have an issue with, but I actually like the red and white that runs across, and or the red and black for the home jerseys, and their red jerseys, like when they have alternate good red jerseys, those are pretty cool. No, like Dame never spoke out. Like, he was never a guy that was like, I want to trade, I want out, I want this. He's never been that guy. And then the only reason that he asked for a trade was because the front office didn't want to spend money on free agents, didn't want to get him any veteran players. They didn't want to do that. They were going to build through the draft. And he's like, I don't want to be part of a rebuild. Like, that's
it's funny. Last night,
the Bucks aren't rebuilding the year after that. As long as you have Dame and Giannis, you're not rebuilding. And people respect the hell out of Damian Lillard. He's played on tons of all-star teams. He has connections. He can talk to guys and be like, he can help recruit and try to get guys here. It'll be okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm not worried about those three guys. Again, something. It's. I know you probably don't care for this comparison, but when the Cubs won a World Series, and then didn't do anything after that, where a lot of people thought, oh, this is the start of a dynasty. They're going to win 2 or 3 World Series in the next 5 years, or whatever the case might be. At some point, like, you went, okay, like, we love these guys. This core brought us a championship, but something does have to change. Like, this has gotten stale. People have figured this out, and something does have to change. And the criticisms that people have of this Bucks team, as far as their age, their athleticism, and things like that, are valid. They're valid, but I don't think where you're going to make those changes is to the core, especially not with those three guys. It's going to be on the periphery. It's going to be with maybe a Brook Lopez, maybe a Bobby Portis. You know, they're going to have to figure out what they're doing at the 2-guard spot in this offseason. Some of the bench needs some serious tweaking, but the core is not going to change. They need to make some changes, but the core of this is not going to change.
The 5 I would say that I for sure absolutely want back, and this is going to maybe be controversial. I think we should trade Giannis. I've had enough of him. No, Giannis. No, obviously Giannis, Dame, Chris. Those 3. The other 2 that I want back, honestly, and this is me being dead honestly, I was like, yeah, I said a package could come along. I want Bobby Portis back. Okay. Like, Bobby's another guy. And then my other one is Pat Bev. Because first of all, Pat Bev loves playing for Doc. He'll do whatever you need him to do. You know, he can score a little bit. He gets the crowd fired up. You know, he's just another good guy. He seems like a dude. Like, he was directing traffic really well last night. I like him, but like, you need to get another guard off the bench that can score too then. Because Pat Bev is not a guy that, if Damian Lillard has an Achilles strain somewhere in December, you can't lean on Pat Bev to give you 30 points a night, because that's just not his game. He's an all-around smart point guard, but he's not a guy that's going to go out there and start bombing 3-pointers. He'll hit a few for you. He's a good player. I think he's a really good player. The problem is you can't lean on him for heavy scoring. And that showed up a lot of the times throughout the year, not just with him, but with Cameron Payne, when, you know, the comparison of when Dame plays and Giannis doesn't. Oh, it's like, well, what are we won more games when Dame plays, not Giannis. But Giannis's backup is fucking Bobby Portis. When Bobby Portis starts, he puts up damn near 20 points a game. He's a starter on 25 other teams in this league.
Yep.
And it's like, he could start the power forward, or he could go start at the center. It doesn't matter. He's going to get his buckets, dude. He's a really good shooter. But like, with Pat Bev, it's like, okay, if Giannis plays, Dame doesn't. Well, Pat Bev's not going to necessarily give you 20 every single night.
And I'm not saying that when I say that that the only 3 guys that I know are locked in are Chris, Giannis, and Dame. I'm not saying they have to trade Bobby, or they have to trade Brook, or they can't bring back Pat Bev. I'm just saying that those are options, and all options are on the table, I think, other than trading Giannis, Dame, and Chris. That's what everybody will talk about because that's what gets headlines, that's what gets clicks, that's what gets ratings. Right. Everybody, when should Dame leave? When should Giannis leave? Blah, 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 fucking blah. But the reality is those guys aren't going anywhere. What just happened? You just put your fist up on the air. Your feed is ahead of my feed, especially after mine froze. It was 1-0 Cubs. It is 1-0 Cubs on my TV screen right now. Go ahead. You already ruined it. Tell me what happened.
1-1. Professional baseball hitter and catcher of baseballs, William Contreras, RBI single. So,
dude, he's really good.
Dude, he's he leads. I think he still leads the league in total extra base hit or multiple base hit games.
I don't think he's going to be in the MVP race, but if the MVP vote was held in May, he'd be in it right now.
William Contreras doesn't necessarily need to be in the MVP. He doesn't need to be in like the MVP talks. He's not he's not put up like 30 home runs or something. He's just a really goddamn good baseball player. He's a really.
I would have never thought he was the better Contreras brother.
Well, as far as power goes, he's really not. But like, I like him.
And I mean, fuck the other one now because he's a Cardinal. I'll always love him and appreciate him for what he did.
Yeah,
he's wearing a Cubs uniform. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really far behind stream.
I told you it froze. It froze for about 30 seconds, so it put me that much further behind.
You said that, but dude, we're in extra innings now. Like 2 innings just passed.
All right. I think I got everything off my chest about the Bucks for now. Like I said, more detailed breakdowns. Drew wants to give season grades. We did that at the midway point. Drew wants to give final season grades. We'll get to all that in a future episode, but I think I got out what I wanted to get out for today. Drew, anything you still got on your chest you need to get off?
Should I give you guys wiffle ball updates on Mondays after we play wiffle ball? We got an all.
By the way, how come I was never asked to be on the wiffle ball team, bro? Well, I was by Reagan, but after the roster was already set, and jerseys have already been bought, and how come I'm your podcast co-host? You don't invite me to be on your fucking wiffle ball, and you know I'm only part-time employed right now. You know I got time for wiffle ball. How come I don't get the invite? What the fuck is that?
Because the more players on our team, the less at bats for all the guys who hit home runs.
Yeah. Oh, so you don't want another guy? You don't like dingers? You don't want another guy who can hit? Look at my body, dude. All I do is hit dingers. That's. I go up to the plate. I don't want to run. I'm not running. I'm going to jog. If anything, I have to hit dingers if I'm going to be productive.
Yeah,
you fucked up. Somebody in your league should ask me to be on their team just to show you how you fucked up by not asking me to be on your team.
Ramie, I will strike you out with a wiffle ball and hit you with the too small.
You fucked up.
I'm going to hit you. I'm going to strike you out on one ankle.
By the way, did you see, speaking of the too
small? Why would you do that? They almost hit Willie in the head. Hey, start ejecting Cubs. What are you doing, Craig?
I don't know if you saw it, but somebody photoshopped like a sun hat and like put an umbrella in his hand and a little suitcase next to him on the Pat Bev doing the too small because he's headed to Cancun. It's funny, you know what I mean? You gotta laugh even when you're on the receiving end of it. You gotta laugh.
Hey, here's the thing. Bev said that's all part of it. If you're gonna talk trash, you got to be able to take it. Like I respect a lot of that. Honestly, like I almost tweeted at him last night because I stopped at the bar my girlfriend was working at. I'm like, I need a drink after that. And I was like, but I'm dealing with it good. So like I stopped at the bar and I saw Pat Bev, he put like damn belt to ass or whatever. Congrats Pacers. I literally had to tweet out there. I'm like, yo, let's grab a beer when you get back to Milwaukee, dude. You earned it. But that's only gonna read sarcastic. I was like, damn it. I just want to go hang out with Pat Bev. He seems cool as hell.
Yeah, I would. That would be fun. That would be fun. It would also be fun to be on a wiffle ball team. But apparently, we're not as tight as I thought we were, Drew. Apparently, we're not friends.
We've had our core together for a long time. That's the big thing. Like
we just talked about how cores get stale, and sometimes you got to change things up.
Yeah, we did. We added my cousin Joey last year.
Oh, cousin Joey. Added fucking cousin Joey. All right. I see how it is.
Me and his two brothers, we told him at every family gathering, like, nah, team's full, dude. We kept him in the minors. Still, he was ready to come up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
all right.
He's probably our number 2 hitter now.
Good for him. I'm happy for you.
Out on the podcast.
I'm happy for you and cousin Joe. I hope you lose all your games. I hope you twist your other ankle running the bases. Yeah, I said it.
I probably will.
Good. Good. I hope you do.
I was shopping on Amazon for ankle braces before we started the stream.
And if you want me to be on the team next year, I will be. If you ask, I will. This has been Ramie and Drew, episode 51. Like I said, future episodes coming up.
2, 2, 1. 2, 2, 1.
What happened? No, I'm behind. What happened?
Willie Adames, he hit a ball up the middle. Just got between your weak shit infielders, dude. They couldn't get one glove hit the ground, the other glove hit the ground, and that ball just weakly dribbled out there. Willie didn't even hit that ball hard. Oh, right. Oh, found the seam.
Yeah, it's about to happen.
My ankle.
All right, Drew. I hate you. I hope you lose all your wiffle ball games. Cubs are the best team in the NL Central. And we'll talk to you next time on Ramie and Drew. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Subscribe to the pod. We appreciate it. And we'll talk to you again.
Don't even fucking talk to